Hi, everyone. It's so great to see you. In a few seconds, you'll be able to say hi in the chat to us. Maybe, Melisa, you and I can start by introducing ourselves, and then I'll share my screen. And welcome to our webinar about global expansion, localization best practices. We are going to focus on marketing managers, marketing professionals, but this is relevant to everyone who is interested in global expansion, cross-border growth, going into new markets. And my name is Hila, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at BLEND. And I'm very, very happy to be joined by Melisa, who is leading social media content and localization at Payoneer. Both companies are in the localization business, or I would say cross-border business. And we are excited to share with you our experience, to answer your questions. And hopefully you'll find it interesting and beneficial. I'll share my screen. Melisa, do you want please introduce yourself?
Yeah, so thank you, Hila, and the whole BLEND team to have me here. And thank you, everyone, for attending today. Super excited to be here to talk to you about building a global local brand. My name is Melisa Sukman, and I'm the Director of Social Strategy and Localization at Payoneer. I have over 10 years of experience in the fintech industry. And in a nutshell, Payoneer is the NASDAQ-listed commerce technology company powering growth for millions of digital businesses worldwide. And what we do is make it easy for businesses of all sizes everywhere to do business anywhere.
Thank you so much. So now is a great time to start. And I'm sharing my screen.
So I think I'll start with, having said we are enabling businesses to do cross-border, why does Payoneer actually exist? So most of the world's companies are SMBs who need to do cross-border business in order to succeed and not to rely solely on local demand in today's digital world. So payment needs have come a long, long way. And natively digital payment platforms are required to connect businesses and allow them to transact worldwide. So our mission is to be the world's go-to partner for digital commerce anywhere. We aim to empower anyone, anywhere to participate and flourish in the new global digital economy so the entire world can realize its potential. So whether you're making international payments, receiving funds, or you need to access capital, Payoneer opens your business up to the world. And we're also very proud of having a very diverse global team of over 2,000 people who strive to make a meaningful impact on the lives of millions of people in over 190 countries and territories. So talking about serving customers on our teams, I wanted to say a little bit about serving 5 million customers around the world. That's okay, don't worry, to pay and get paid. So in this case, if you're a solo localization specialist, or in the case of BLEND, it's you're a language service provider, Payoneer can help you get paid and pay in multiple ways, in multiple currencies, and choose how you want to spend your funds.
So thank you, Melisa. And we are proud partners of Payoneer. We use Payoneer for our payments for all the freelancers that are working with BLEND. Payoneer is also a partner of BLEND. We are happy to help you guys localize and go global. So a few words about BLEND. BLEND is here to help brands expand globally. We are helping global brands to localize their entire customer journey from the beginning, from lead gen to marketing to their products, their billing, and also customer support. A few words about BLEND. We are a small company, but we have a great scale. We are working with companies all over the world, as I said, all in one platform. We offer voice and localization for text, so also multimedia, video, audio, podcast localization, bringing together human and AI capabilities. So we have a large network of freelancers, professional linguists, and we work with various technologies, various systems or platforms, and we have our own strong platform too. Let's see if it works. So enough with this marketing stuff. Let's start. We are here to speak about global expansion. I thought it would be great to start with some terminology. You're probably familiar with globalization, internationalization, and localization. So let's make some order here. Globalization is actually bringing people together, bringing people, markets, countries closer to each other. If you think about it, what Amazon is doing, or Airbnb or Netflix, is bringing people closer together, allowing us to buy their products from all over the world. In this case of McDonald's, for example, the fact that they operate in over 30,000 restaurants in over 100 countries, this is their globalization approach. Internationalization is where you actually prepare your products and the offering to local markets, okay? It's actually a strategy or a mindset. For example, in McDonald's case, the fact that they create their menu in a way that can be adaptable to local markets and tastes is their internationalization strategy. Another example is IKEA, as example. IKEA, when they prepare their instructions for all their furniture, they try to use diagrams and illustrations and less words, less text. So it will be very easy to internationalize these products. Obviously, if they are using text, they are trying to make it as neutral and short as possible to make it easy to localize these instructions. And localization is actually the process of adapting this content to different languages, cultures, people. In this McDonald's case, localization is the fact that they serve kosher food in Israel and meat-free menu in India, for example. The fact that they really changed their menu, not only the language in the menu, but also the food that they serve. So now that we have this in mind, let's just remember that the internationalization is what makes product more adaptable or ready to be localized. Obviously, localization has many forms and many shapes. But we need to remember the end goal for brands is to be able to become natively local and talk to their audiences all over the world. When a company starts in a specific market, let's say the United States or in Israel, for example, we are actually strong in our market and we want to expand. We want to become local in other different markets. And to be able to communicate with our audiences in these markets in their native language, as you can see here in this example of Payoneer in LATAM, speaking the language creates trust, confidence, and actually customers all over the world, they prefer to consume or buy products from brands that speak their language or understand their culture, they celebrate their holiday, etc. So this is why we are here. We are here to speak about how to do it right, when to get started, what can go wrong, and to give you the best practices of how to approach this as a strategy, as marketing professionals. Melisa, do you want to add anything before I move forward?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. So when to get started or what can go wrong? I have here a few funny examples. I guess it wasn't so funny for Wix back then in 2015. But sometimes you realize a bit too late that you made a mistake in translation, in choosing, for example, the name of your company, or not translating it right to different markets. In this case, Wix started operating in Germany, and then they found out that the word Wix is being pronounced as Wix in Germany, and it has a totally different meaning, which is masturbation in this case, and it created a lot of noise, I guess, and buzz. Luckily, Wix has a very strong marketing team, and they were able to create some buzz around it, or to create a lemonade from this lemon, and they created this video. Maybe I'll share a few seconds of it just for you guys to see how they...
Gewichst?
Gewichst.
Was habe ich schon mal?
Gewichst?
Weiter.
Gewichst im Sinne von die Webseite oder im Sinne von gewichst?
So it's a long video, you can watch it on your own, but just to show you how to check these things in advance and to make sure you're not making any mistakes when expanding to new market. In this case of Mercedes, they entered China and their name was translated as Benzi. Mercedes-Benz. And Benzi means a rush to die in Chinese, and they realize it, and obviously you don't want to have a car that means a rush to die, and they had to rebrand and change the name to Benchi, which means running quickly as if flying. So you see, it's very easy. By this small adaptation of a few letters, they were able to change the entire meaning and have a better perception in the Chinese market. Another example is from PepsiCo, which had an iconic campaign where it was saying, "Come alive, you're in the Pepsi generation." And again, in Chinese, it means Pepsi brings your ancestors back from the grave, which is something no one wants. So these are very small, high-level examples, but you can imagine how localization can go wrong, especially when we don't know the market or don't speak the language. It is important to have some people on the ground to help us, right, Melisa? I think maybe the most important thing is to, before you go into a new market, to have someone on the ground. It can be a vendor, a representative, an ambassador, someone that can help you, provide you with feedback, nuances, culture, ideas, and maybe if you want to say something, Melisa.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a bit later on, I will show you guys a slide in which how at Payoneer, we actually started localizing. So one of the first things that we did was actually, while we had central hubs, try to get information through our communities on the ground. And, we didn't have a specific local presence yet. But then one of the first things that we did is we have to localize things that are bring registration for our customers, like the website. So in that case, rely on language service providers and trying to localize the top of funnel kind of touch points like the website and the blog, and try to work on SEO and anything that brought awareness of why Payoneer is such a great platform for people to grow their business globally. So definitely, it's a big discussion. I saw a question in the chat as well. Where would you start, right? Where is the starting point for localization?
Yeah, so we will talk about it right now. So how early? I would say that as early as you can, at least in the mindset of building your company, building your product, because the earlier you think about it, the easier it will be later on. When planning your website, for example, think about, will it allow me to localize it, to offer other languages? If I'm designing the website for Latin languages, can I change it to right to left in the future if I want to sell to Israel, or to write in Arabic, for example? So thinking about it in advance will make your lives easier in the future. And also, this map shows us that even in the United States, the common languages are so, you can see there is such a variety and so strong, even among the American audience. So you want to consider speaking other languages than English, even if you're focused solely in the United States. But, Latin America, other markets in the US, and obviously Europe and Asia require this mindset. Also in product, in code, in the software side of the things, even if it's an app, thinking about the localization process will make it easier, even if it's in a year or 2 or 3 years ahead, will make your lives easier if you have it in mind. And obviously, when choosing a name of the company or keywords, tagline, it's very important to be sensitive of how it sounds or what is the meaning in other languages, as we saw already. When you're writing in your content or even in the onboarding forms, think about it that different people write things differently, even when it comes to the date or the day of the month or the way they fill out their names, last name, first name. It's very different in different cultures. In Japan, they do not use the first name, for example, if I'm not wrong. So make sure you are aware of these nuances in any content that you create for a wider audience. And this example shows that even for English-speaking markets, there are differences in the way people are looking for your product, for example. And here comes the SEO aspect of things. For example, in the US, people will look for a cute pink sweater, and in Australia, they will look for a cute pink jumper. And if you will localize, if you say, okay, my website is in English, I'm going to start selling in Australia, might be that no one will get to this product page because they are not looking for sweaters in Australia. So this sensitivity or awareness to the differences. Another example is from a company I actually worked for in the past, promo.com. We were selling a video creation platform. And when we were advertising for Christmas in Australia, we used this summer footage because it is summer in Australia during Christmas, and we couldn't use the snow and the winter footage. So we wanted to be more, appealing or attractive to the local audience. So you have to keep it in mind, even when it's only English and no translation is involved.
Mm-hmm.
Melisa, want to say
yeah,
how you guys are doing it or how you started?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you a little bit about the journey that we had at Payoneer with localization. And first, I wanted to talk a bit about localization per se and why it's such a hot topic nowadays. So, the way that we buy goods and services is really truly digitized nowadays, and including language services to support and power global expansion for businesses in just every corner of the world. So companies now have dedicated teams to handle localization, like Payoneer, hire and train translation talent, and grow our reach with the support of language service providers like BLEND. So we have also learned how to work smarter and faster, which is very important to make the work scalable and implementing as well automation. So using software such as translation management system has made it much easier for global brands to manage and expand multiple languages they support their customers in. So there's no question regarding the need to really increase your market share when you're a business and you're trying to go global or growing your brand globally and capture these audiences worldwide. And this can only be done by building a local brand. So there's now a higher demand for translation talent, and competition has never been more fierce. So in the next slide, I'm going to tell you what were the steps of our journey. And I'll start with the first step, which was central hubs. So our localization journey at Payoneer evolved as well as the industry. So in the early years, after Payoneer was funded back in 2005, we relied on the teams on our central hubs, which were mainly two, to work on making the Payoneer platform and the registration available anywhere. So we understood that to properly serve our customers, we had to localize our messaging, making it clear and transparent, making it relevant, impactful. And we relied on third-party translation vendors to do all the localization work, and we still do. And even back then, we knew how vital feedback on our local messaging from our customers and our team members was. Now, the second step that we had was to build customer care and community teams. So these were the in-house markets and language experts with a 24/7 coverage that spoke literally the same language as our customers and understood their needs and concerns and had a very localized and personal approach to supporting them through their business growth. Now, the third step that we had back in 2014 is to set up our brand ambassador program. And to all the marketers joining us today, I highly, advise that you focus on growing the, relationship that you have with the community with very loyal customers and advocates that you can work with to help you not only spread the message about what your brand is doing and how you can help your customers, but also get feedback from them. So this program allowed us to ramp up the community building and engagement as the company started growing on the ground in multiple key markets, but we didn't have the dedicated teams that we have today. That helps us to build the local presence and our offices that are 25 and counting nowadays. So with the dedicated teams besides the business teams that we have on the ground, marketing teams as well, we also established our localization team with in-house language experts to continue to support the market expansion and the new language implementation. And we do a very thorough job onboarding and training translation freelancers and language service providers, while we're also implementing the right technology to guarantee the language accuracy, consistency, and to reduce a lot of the manual work and improve efficiency. And one of the things that is very important is to really understand, because we do have the marketing audience today, is establishing your brand's tone of voice. What are the words and how you want to communicate with your customers, and what it really resonates in the markets with your customers. Make it as if One of the best examples I can think of is the e-commerce platform Mercado Libre. It's actually Argentinian, but people in Brazil, for example, which is in Portuguese, completely forget that that brand and that platform is not really from Brazil. So that's what you want to do. And using Hila, your tagline, you want to blend in. You want people to forget that that company wasn't originally founded there. And it is a global company with different communities that they're serving. You want to make them feel special, that we understand their needs, we understand the pains, and we're working to help them.
Right, especially when you're competing with other marketplaces or supermarket networks that are local and that don't have these problems. So thank you, Melisa. I really, really love your strategy of brand ambassadors in local communities. I think it's brilliant. And it also helps you with the localization itself, because these guys can provide lots of advice and feedback. And they are actually your people on the ground, which is amazing. I want to move to this framework of 6 steps. I know there was a question in the Q&A about how to get started. Where do I start? So I know we both know that it's not easy to start expanding globally and start localization. So we wanted to put it in 6 not so simple, but at least clear steps. And I hope it will be helpful. So the first step is really to run some research and evaluate where to start, how to choose the right market for your business. Obviously, there are some gut feelings or some other considerations, like where do we have employees based or where do we have people on the ground. But other few things that you can do is check where is the opportunity in terms of the product market fit. What stage is the company is, how language sensitive is the market that we are going to enter. What is the goal? Do I want to start with awareness or do I want to start selling from day one? And to do it right, I like this framework that was brought by Natalie Kelly. Natalie Kelly is the head of localization at HubSpot. And she came up with this framework that is called Maraka, which is actually the same. You start by sizing the market or understanding how much opportunity do we have in that market. And then also the real-time analytics. Where do I have people on my website? Where do they come from? And looking at the Google Analytics, Twitter Analytics, LinkedIn Analytics. This is how it looked like for us at one point, where we saw people coming from Italy, Brazil, Spain. This view helps you decide where are the people that are interested in what you have to offer. And then obviously the customer addressability and how easy it is to enter. What is the competitive landscape? How many other companies are there that I need to compete with? Is there a high room for another player? And by running this small research, you can have an idea of where to start or which market can be a good fit for you. Melisa, do you remember what was the first few markets that you guys entered, or was it before you?
For sure. I mean, I really remember when we started working, one of our key strategic markets being China. So, and I think in the conference that I participated a couple of months ago, one of the top markets that we're looking into, where we can't miss the fact that we want to be as local as possible and really be close to the customers, I would say Greater China as a top priority. And then I would also say a lot of the focus in the recent month was in Latin America. So Latin America is a super exciting, region. I think one of the strengths that we have as well is the local team is very aware of the needs to be very close to the customers and personalize our messaging, have the right tone of voice. And I would say that have been like 2 of the major focuses that we have. Having said that, we do focus on all our global, key markets. But I would say I really remember like the efforts that I'm talking about like 9 years ago when I started working in the marketing department at Payoneer, like how we can make that happen. What is the localized strategy? And then getting the talent to be locally as well before the translation talent, before being able to build the teams.
Right. The next step or tip I would like to give is that before you start localizing your content and product and other materials or collateral, start by making sure that your source content, your original, let's say English in most cases, content is as polished and as ready for localization as possible. When you get started, you have to be in a point that you are really, really happy with the brand strategy that you already have, the copy, the messaging, the taglines that you have in English, because no one will be able to write it better than you in Portuguese or Chinese if you didn't do it well in English. Don't expect translators to be magicians, okay? They have to work with what you already have. And in order to have good results, you have to start with a good or high quality materials. I also like this framework that was presented by one of our clients, the Gigo, Kiko, and Vivo. Like if you have garbage in, you'll get garbage out. And if you have quality in, you'll have quality out. And obviously value is what all of us as marketeers want to give our audiences. And if we provide them with value, we get it out also in the translated or localized content. So this is a tip, I guess, even without localization, keep it in mind. Try to create as valuable, insightful, and polished content as you can, and to provide value or useful tips to your readers, audience all over the world. And when you start thinking about localization ready, make sure to keep some of these copywriting rules, which apply, as I said, even before. So everything should be as short and condensed and clear. And when you are planning for localization, try to avoid nostalgia or lots of humor or local jokes that might not translate so well or not be as clear as you wish they'll be. And you can use these things, but make sure to brief the translator and explain exactly what you mean or what you want it to mean in the other local language.
Hila, can I give you an example that I think it would be great to share with the audience, and especially part of my team that are here? And hi guys, we have debated on this. So when we're thinking, even I like what you said, Hila, having like a very well established like tone of voice and brand in English globally, so that you can really localize it, but have like a good foundational base, right? So in our case, for instance, first of all, I'm laughing at the right hand side image because it happens so much that we have strings that are longer in different languages, and that's not taken into account. And that makes it for an interesting discussion with certain teams in the company. However, in this case, even when it's in English, I'm always thinking of the global audiences. I think it's a bit easier for me not being a native speaker of English. So there's an example of once we actually had a mailer. We were working a campaign telling people that they could make payment requests on our Payoneer platform to their customers with 2 clicks and get it into a few seconds in their inbox. And so we explained that, and the sign-up was "see you there." So there was a very hot debate coming actually from our translator saying, "What do you mean see you there? Are you talking about being somewhere or being an event?" And so when the copywriter was thinking of this email, right, he was thinking, "See you there, see you in the Payoneer platform where you can perform these actions." So I think that was like, in a way, it brought a lot to light of like, we know that our biggest audience, for example, might not be native speakers of English. And this felt like very colloquial and informal and a little bit too abstract for people to understand that you click here and we'll see you in the platform, right? So I think that's also like a funny anecdote to share. And that gave us a lot of food for thought as well, even in English, how much we're being global with our language.
Definitely. And I totally agree with you. Right. So keep it in mind when you're preparing for localization or in the internationalization stage. Prepare your content carefully. And as you said, Melisa, the glossary, which is also, I think before the glossary, start with the tone of voice and the brand book and the brand style guide, because this will be like the Bible of the team that will do the translation and localization work. And the better you convey your brand values, your brand essence, how do you want these things to sound like? How do you want people to perceive your brand? This will help them with the translation. Tone of voice, is it formal, friendly? And the glossary, actually, those who are not familiar with the term, is actually a list of terms or definitions. It usually includes the main keywords of your business, but not only. Any popular term that you're using across your collateral or website that is important for you to keep a very certain meaning. How do you want it to be translated like? What is the meaning of the word payment, or I don't know, any other term that can have different meanings. And also if there are words that you do not want to translate, or if there are words that you want to keep as all caps, like the BLEND brand name that I insist on keeping all caps because it's such a generic term and we want people to recognize it when we refer it to the company name. So this term base is something people use when they start the translation process, localization, and it applies to all languages, and it's really, really important to start with that. And this leads me to the third phase, which is once we recognize or identify the market we want to go after, we have this content ready, we have our style guide, we have the glossary, we have everything, and we are happy with what we have in the original source language, we are ready to start localizing. And that's where I recommend, and Melisa, I think you agree with me, to start with a stage strategy. Start with what we call front end, or the last step, or the last mile of the experience, be it the shopping experience, the payment, the checkout, or the lead capturing form if you are in a B2B enterprise business. Start by enabling people to communicate with you and do their whatever it is that you want them to do in their local language. Once you see the traction, once you see that there is an interest, there is a market, people are engaging with you, you can move to translating the entire website or assets, let's say the campaigns, the ads that lead to the website, invest in SEO, localization of SEO, advertising. And that's where you're ready, I think, to move to the fully localized experience, end to end, from the first touch point to the last touch point, making sure they really, really feel that you are local and that you are, as we say, natively local, and there is no gap that needs to be filled. Do you want to add something here, Melisa? Obviously, you can go all in and localize the full experience from the beginning. But if you are worried about, I don't know, time, resources, budget, you want to test the water a bit, you want to see the sentiment in the market, that's a recommended approach.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things I would highlight, and we have a slide on that later, is getting customer insights, understanding what is the need in the market. So sometimes we might know that English doesn't cater for different markets, and we really have to localize it. Sometimes it's a regulation, being compliant, that it kind of like a reason to push it there. Also start with the customers, what is needed. And I think here, once you are getting into the localization process and you're implementing things, just get feedback, talk to your customers, do surveys, do events, and contact them and try to understand if what you're doing and implementing is working, and optimize all the time.
Right. I'm going to move a bit faster because our time is short, but I want to speak very briefly about tools and resources and software that are out there in the market, and obviously how you choose your vendor. And I'm not here to convince you to work with BLEND. I'm really here to help you understand how to get started. But how do you choose the right partner or vendor or talents, freelancers? I think what you really should care about is the quality. Obviously, this is the number one concern of any localization manager out there, the quality and the consistency of the content. This is the number one concern. The scale, because sometimes you start small, but you want to be able to scale and to expand to other languages. Obviously, budget is a high consideration for all of us today. Time, you want someone to maybe manage it for you and take this headache away from you. And the technology stack, if your website is on WordPress or Drupal or Shopify, you want to make sure that the partner you work with or the translator can work on your platform, can integrate with this. I do want to mention a few key terms that is important to be familiar with before you get started. I'm not going to go into the bits and bytes of this, but machine translation, I'm sure everyone is aware of it. It's out there. It's not enough, obviously. Neural machine translation is actually what we are using. It's an advanced, customized machine translation. It also involves machine learning and AI. Post-editing is what comes after the machine. It's usually a human process of editing, reviewing, proofreading. There are tools that are helping translator do their work. There are also a translation memory tools that are very, very important because this keeps your cost a bit lower. It takes into account repetitions, make sure that content is consistent. Once you translated it, it will use the same translation over and over again, assuming it's the same context and term or phrase. And there are lots of tools out there to help this process take place. They are called the translation management systems, other platforms. But this is something you should get familiar with. I want to show this fun example of when machine translation goes wrong. And this is I just found it online today, where a company had this, all the female audience here will probably recognize this is a hyaluronic acid serum, and it says hydrates, lifts, and firms the skin. And they translated the word firms in French to enterprises or business, like a firm, which is very funny. I'm sure they didn't mean to it. And as you can see, it was printed, packed, and shipped to clients with this mistake, and no one wants such a mistake. So it is important to remember that there must be a human involved in the process, a professional linguist that will look after your content and make sure it's all coherent and correct and right. And I mentioned these tools that you guys are working with, probably, Wix or WordPress or a Zendesk if you're offering customer support, or Oracle, or whatever it is that you're using. Make sure that the vendor you're working with can integrate and provide the service to your platform to avoid downloading, uploading of content. This will make your life much easier. I want to speak briefly, and Melisa mentioned it already. Some markets are more sensitive. Some markets are less sensitive. In this case, this example that was shared with us by Global E, they ran ads for clients where the landing page or the website was in English. But in Denmark, for example, the ROAS, the return on ad spend for the ads that were translated to Danish was 60% higher than the English copy. It means that people are or prefer to or engage more with ads in their native language on Facebook, even though you lead them to a landing page or an e-commerce site where the buying experience is still in English. And they saw the same result in Spain, where again, the Spanish ad performed better by 100%. And here also the landing page was in English. So it shows that, again, maybe starting with localizing your ads, some of the funnel stages, and then localizing the entire can be a good idea. In Hong Kong, for example, it wasn't the case. People in Hong Kong prefer the English copy rather than the translated one. And you can see that probably this is a less sensitive market. And you can see here the sensitivity. Obviously, some markets are more sensitive, some are less. But keep it in mind when you run these tests and you are doing this stage strategy, that you can always improve the results by localizing some of the assets.
Hila, I have a question before we go to our slides from Magnet. She was asking if BLEND is planning to expand its services to include copywriting and creative content creation for the clients, because many translators at BLEND have great creative writing skills, which are imperative to effective localization, including SEO knowledge, and it would be great to add opportunities.
Right. I totally agree with you. And we are offering these services today already. We see a very increasing demand from our clients for copywriting services, content creation services. We are already offering it in languages. We will continue and increase our talent pool. And I totally agree. I'm a consumer of these services too. And we definitely offer it already. Talk to us. SEO is critical for sure. And we see many of our clients use our service to improve their search ranking or Google ranking, and also to increase traffic. We also do App Store optimization for some of our clients, because this is another level of localization that is required. But it's a great question, and yes. Do you want to share with us the scale phase for Payoneer, and what is it that you do today to scale?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things that you can see first, I wanted to talk about is being customer-centric and customer voice. So all companies will say they're customer-centric, but for us at Payoneer, really, what does it mean? So for us, it's a vital part of global growth, right? So when it comes to new language implementation, we take into account the needs of our customers, like I mentioned before, through feedback on surveys, social media channels, events, online forums, meetings, etc. And one of our main KPIs after new language is implemented or it's improved is the translation satisfaction score. So what I was mentioning before is when you start localizing and you want to keep your fingers on the pulse and see what kind of job you're doing, if this is resonating, if there are mistakes that you're making, if you're getting any kind of format wrong. So it's very important to kind of test that satisfaction score with them. So along with other KPIs like new number of customer registrations, like I was mentioning before, or the reduction of also of the interaction between customer care and the customer. So customers are understanding exactly what you're trying to provide them with. And talking about that, data analysis is also very important and tied into this. So you might not be able to implement multiple new languages at once. We definitely are not doing that at Payoneer. We want to have a localization strategy that is helping us prioritize, right? Seeing, like Hila was asking for, what are strategic markets where there is more sensitivity. So, and also prioritizing adding new languages to your platform or your product versus updating or improving the existing languages that you have. And sometimes it might be, in some cases that you might not want to localize and have the full customer journey in English, like in the case that we saw Hila showing us from Hong Kong. And the other slide that I wanted to show you, I don't know if we have time for that. It's a bit of looking ahead. So when I was discussing this with Hila, we were saying that localization is an ever ongoing journey. It never ends. It's never perfect. And that should definitely be the spirit. I think as marketers, we're never really fully satisfied with what we're doing. But when I look back and I'm looking ahead, we really came a long way, but there's so many more things that we want to do. So we really want to, improve our efforts to have cutting edge technologies. I think at the scale of where we are right now up here, we definitely want to be investing in that. We want to support the market expansion and grow along with our customers and serve each customer in the best possible way. The second priority that we have is to continually work on growing the team of freelance translators, using the right language service providers, and build regular training schedules and finding new ways to really continue to communicate our new products and features with our translating team. I think that was one of the questions also in the chat. How do you guarantee the translation quality? I think part of the job is also us, in this case as a customer, to really have, besides the glossary that Hila was mentioning, regular meetings or briefings, or there's a new product launch, like share that brief on the product, try to get your translation talent to understand what's the context of that, and keep them in the loop, right? So they will understand what's the impact that we're looking for. And the third thing that we're looking at is feedback surveys. And that's one of the main tools that we have been implementing for a couple of years and have been so useful for us at Payoneer to understand how well we're doing a job on localization. We are always looking to, automate the data analysis, especially for when we have open-end surveys answers. And, finally, I wanted to say our, continual investment in localization is really to ensure the success in building our company's worldwide recognition and trust and community at a very, very local and personal level.
Right. And to the point that you made about the quality, I totally agree. And BLEND is really, really encouraging our clients to speak directly with the talents and bring them make them feel as if they are part of the team. They know the brand, they know the product, they know the features. And the results are much better this way. We do not believe in these Chinese walls. We want them to have all the information they need to make the work as perfect as possible. So obviously, we identify the target market. We start with the campaign, the measurement of. Hopefully, we have the right resources and tools. I just want to make a few closing notes. So make sure you keep in mind the local events, local dates, special dates, especially if you're in the e-commerce industry. These sale days are very, very important. But for every industry and for every vertical, there are holidays that if you are natively local, you need to celebrate or make sure you mention them on your content or social channels. We have this social media calendar that we launched this year. You can get to it through this QR code or to this bit.ly link, and it has all the holidays and all the special days all over the world for Muslim, Jewish people, Christians, but also important days globally. So feel free to use this free resource. Keep in mind these things. People in different areas of the world use different channels, social media channels, chats, and it's good to keep it in mind when you're advertising or speaking even with your communities or with your customers. This shows the spread of these apps around across the world. Just to sum it up, I want us to wrap it with this in mind. Localization is a mindset. You are always like it's never too early to start. You have to know your audience. Having people on the ground helps. Try to take the staged approach to make it gradual and make sure you're using resources wisely. Choose the right tools, the right vendors, the right partners. Monitor, measure, and then you're able to scale and repeat. You can see the case of Payoneer. I think you guys are active in more than 200 markets, if I'm not wrong. So this strategy obviously works.
And get yourself a very good partner on localization, I would say, like BLEND. That's like definitely key to the success.
Yeah, I do want to offer you guys a small gift from us, a $50 coupon just to get started. We mentioned that BLEND works with global brands like Payoneer, but we also have a self-service platform. If you want to get started with a small project, you want to check it out, you need something urgent, you want to translate an ad, you go to our website. There is a self-service wizard, very easy to use, and this is a gift from us. I don't know if we have any questions on the chat or the Q&A, but if not, I think we are a bit past our time. So let me stop sharing my screen. So guys, thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us. Melisa, I can't thank you enough. It was very, very interesting to hear all your stories and examples.
For sure. Likewise, and thank you for having me, and extend my gratitude to the BLEND team as well.
I have a feeling we'll do it again. So
absolutely, it's been super fun. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thank you,
thank
guys.
you, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you to the great Payoneer team and the BLEND team. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
Bye.